who's your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is not Mick Mulvaney. And this is a story involving Mick Mulvaney. It's not a former Fox News host, even though this is a story involving a Fox News host. And you know why? Because the story also involves Jared Kushner, who is one of those garbage people who just had a book come out. And in that book, he said two things. He said, I told everyone about me having cancer, and also the chief of staff shoved my wife Ivanka. Well, according to this super messy video where Chris Wallace spills the beans on what happened in the green room, it seems like nothing of what Jared Kushner speaks is true. Take a look.
We all know that oftentimes the conversation in the green room is more interesting than what's said on the air, the green room where we wait before we come on the air. I was talking with Mick Mulvaney. Jared Kushner's new book came up in which he says that John Kelly, the predecessor for him as White House chief of staff, shoved Ivanka out of the way. He said that is inconceivable. Could he have brushed fire? Yeah, inconceivable that John Kelly, White House chief of staff, would have shoved Ivanka. He also said in the book, Kushner claims that he told Mulvaney that he had thyroid cancer. Mulvaney said, he never told me that. Wow. I have no recollection of it. And if he had, I would have remembered it.
Where were you
when
I was talking to Mick Mulvaney? Where were you when I was talking to Mick Mulvaney? Chris Wallace, we got to put a GoPro on your head so we get some of this stuff on tape.
That could be his show, The Green Room
with Chris Wallace.
You're gonna see some things you don't want to see if you have a GoPro on my head.
What is he doing?
It's so dumb. Everything about that is just like, hi, this is morning TV. And we're going to talk about victims and then share some recipes after that. It's so good. It is so messy. I love the concept of this green room. I've been into the green room at like CNN, and it was an out of body experience with like DL Hughley and Jeff Ross just hanging out, talking to each other, being comedians. It was super awesome. But the idea that like freaking Chris Wallace is gonna dime on not only Jared Kushner, but Mick Mulvaney too. I can't wait. The worst part about this is, you know, that Mick Mulvaney's like, I want you to go out and say that next. Like, this is not off the record. Or Chris Wallace is like, yeah, I'm at CNN now. Anything goes. If you're stupid enough to say this to me in the green room, Mick Mulvaney, who, if you don't know what he looks like, he looks exactly like that guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark that like, from Raiders of the Lost Ark that like gets his hand, the Nazi with the little glasses and the beady eyes. Yeah, he looks exactly like that guy who's like, yes. So he totally was like, he just got
poor Mick
Mulvaney
getting disrespected by multiple people. Yeah, look, the books that these politicians put out have so many issues. I mean, to the extent when they're honest about something, I think it's understandable to be frustrated by the fact that they hid it for so long, especially when it comes to journalists. But also, they just openly lie. Like, if you're gonna lie, Jared Kushner, after spending multiple years in the White House, those are the lies that you tell, that like someone pushed Ivanka? That seems like a weird thing to lie about. What made you think of that specific thing if it didn't actually happen? Anyway, I'm gonna continue my policy of not purchasing these books because it encourages them to do this sort of stuff, and I just don't have time for it.
Yeah, it's so good. And the fact that like there are people who are like, well, this book by Jared Kushner changes a lot for me.
No, it doesn't.
So
it didn't even change the life of the ghostwriter who actually wrote it.
Right. And for when journalists do this, it's like stuff my editor wouldn't let me run because I couldn't back it up. Or stuff that I withheld willingly from the population so that I could make money off it more 100%. Later.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.